So Apple just made their cheapest laptop ever at $599, and the internet cannot agree whether this thing is genius or a disaster. Now, I've had the MacBook Neo in my hands for a few days now, and I want to give you guys the honest truth. No hype, no rage bait, just the 5 things that you actually need to know before you spend your money on this thing. Okay, so here's the thing. Half the people online are saying that this thing is the most exciting Mac in years, and then you have the other half that are calling 8 gigs of RAM in 2026 borderline offensive, and I mean, they have a point. And of course, you have people out there saying that just buy a refurbished MacBook Air instead. Like, that makes more sense, does it not? Others are also saying that this thing kills the iPad, like kills Chromebooks, kills everything at this price. So you kind of have like 2 vocal opposites here. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Right away, when I unboxed it and I picked it up, this does not feel like a $600 laptop, like at all. The aluminum on this is solid. Like, it feels the same as pretty much my $8,000 MacBook Pro setup at the back there. And in terms of weight wise, it's the same 2.7 pounds as a MacBook Air. You can also still open the lid with just 1 finger, which is a test that I always do to see how premium something is. And guys, this color, citrus, in person, it's way nicer than the pictures make it seem. I also love that this keyboard here is like color matched to the actual laptop, but just like a slightly lighter shade. And honestly, it's just a very nice touch. Overall, this thing looks and feels absolutely premium. Now, one thing that I do want to point out right away is that when you take a look at this laptop, there is no notch on this thing, right? And the bezels are pretty noticeable. So with the Neo, Apple definitely decided to go with a slightly thicker bezels instead of the notch, and it's kind of like an iPad. And you know what? It's not that bad. The notch has always been kind of divisive, so people are kind of on either side of it. So this is a very clean look. Like, honestly, I kind of dig it. Now, I also want to show you guys the speakers on this thing. So they're actually on the side of the chassis here rather than like on the actual keyboard, which is definitely new and a departure for Apple. And they're actually surprisingly good. I don't know if this will translate on camera, but let me just like open up something here. I will pull up my latest video, because if you haven't watched it yet, it's a good excuse for you guys to watch it. It's a week in the life with the S26 Ultra. So Samsung just announced the brand new S26 Ultra, and this is great. Okay, so guys, these speakers are actually very legit for what they are. Ports wise though, you are only getting 2 USB-C ports and a headphone jack, and we're gonna talk about those ports in about a minute because there's a catch there that we need to visit. But first, let's talk about the 5 things that everybody's arguing about online. Okay, so number 1, the chip that is inside this laptop. This is the first Mac to ever basically run on an iPhone chip. This has the A18 Pro chip, which is the same one from the iPhone 16 Pro. And when Apple announced that, a lot of people heard phone chip and they were just like, immediately kind of thought underpowered, or like, what is happening here? Like, this seems like kind of absurd. But here's the reality. In Geekbench benchmarks that just came out recently, the Neo scored a 3461 in single core performance. For context, and why this is so huge, the M1 MacBook Air, which millions of people still use daily and love, scored 2346, almost 1,000, more than 1,000 below. The M2 MacBook Air scores 2587. This $599 laptop is significantly faster in single core performance than both of those. And here's a wild part. The base M3 MacBook Pro has 3,131 single core performance. The Neo actually beats the M3 MacBook Pro base model. Let that sink in for a second. Now, the important caveat that I want to make here though is that multi-core performance is kind of a different story. The Neo only has 2 performance cores versus 4 on the M series chips. So when you do need to do like heavy parallel tasks like video editing on this thing or code compiling, the M3 does pull out way ahead, and kind of makes sense, it's a pro laptop. But for opening apps, loading pages, responding to clicks, the stuff that most people kind of actually do on their laptops, like majority of the people out there, the Neo is genuinely fast. Oh, and one more thing, it has hardware ProRes acceleration, which is kind of really rare at this price point. At $599, that's a feature that didn't come to even the base M chip MacBooks until like the M3. So if you shoot ProRes on your iPhone or your camera or anything, this will actually be able to handle it natively very well. Okay, now let's talk about the thing that literally everyone is fighting about, okay? The 8 gigs of RAM. And it's not upgradable, by the way, in case you were wondering. Look, I get why people are upset. 16 gigs has kind of become the standard for years now. Even Apple's own MacBook Air starts at 16 gigs now. So going back to 8 definitely feels like a step backwards. But here's the thing people aren't talking about. 8 gigs of Apple unified memory is not the same as 8 gigs on a Windows laptop. macOS is actually extremely efficient with their memory compression, and unified memory means that the CPU and GPU share the same pool without copying data back and forth. So for example, the 8 gig model for the M1 MacBook Air can run like 20 plus browser tabs daily without any issues, and same would go for this Neo. So for the target audience of this laptop, 8 gigs is honestly gonna be fine. Now where it does become a problem is when you start stacking heavy apps on top of each other. So a Zoom call plus Photoshop plus 30 different Chrome tabs, that's where you'll actually start feeling it. The system will swap to the SSD and things will start to slow down, but that's also not what this laptop was designed for. But look, at the end of the day, the real question isn't whether 8 gigs is enough for today. It's whether it'll be enough in 3 or 4 years down the road as macOS gets heavier and Apple Intelligence features grow. And that is a legitimate concern because I don't think anyone can actually answer that yet. But the good news is at $599, you don't have to worry as much. So we talked about the 2 things so far: performance, single core, and RAM. The 3rd thing that I want to talk about is the compromises. First and foremost, you don't have a backlit keyboard. And in good lighting, the colored keys do look great. Like right now, my studio is well lit, but in a dim room or on a late night flight, you're typing blind pretty much on this laptop. But for a laptop that's kind of marketed towards students who might study at night a lot, I know I definitely did, like crammed everything the night before an exam, this one kind of stings. Next up, let's talk about the 2 USB-C ports right here. Although the USB-C ports here look identical, they're actually not. One is USB 3 and one is USB 2. The USB 2 port runs at 480 megabits per second, which is honestly pretty slow for 2026. And here's the thing, there's also no MagSafe charging on this thing, so charging is going to take up one of those ports. So if you are charging and using an external display, you're pretty much done. 0 ports left. So for students who need to charge while they're taking notes, I think you're gonna be fine because you basically only need a couple ports anyways. But for anyone who connects accessories regularly, you'll definitely want to buy a hub. Next up, let's talk about the trackpad here. So this is now mechanical instead of the force touch that we had moved towards with pretty much all their other laptops. It still supports all your multi-touch gestures. It still feels like an Apple trackpad, which, let's be honest, is miles ahead of many Windows laptops out there. The Apple trackpad is actually goated, and a lot of people like Macs just for that reason. The click is definitely much more audible now, but honestly, if nobody told you, most people probably wouldn't even notice. I noticed right away because all my laptops have that force touch, but like, this is what it sounds like. It definitely dates you a little bit because the older MacBooks used to have this, so I mean, it's not a big deal. I don't know, I'm not making a big deal about it. Next up, the display is only sRGB. No P3 wide color gamut on this, and also no True Tone. Now, before you freak out, it's still 500 nits of brightness, same brightness as the MacBook Air, and it still looks sharp at this resolution. It still feels very Apple-like. Now, for YouTube, Instagram, web content, sRGB is literally the standard, so you're not really even going to miss the P3 wide color gamut. Heck, I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video don't even know what P3 is. So if you are a professional video or photo editor and need P3 for color work, then you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But for everybody else who's not doing professional video and photo, this is just fine. Now, another thing to note here, I have the base model here. It does not have the Touch ID button, and this is what comes in at $599. Now, if you do want that Touch ID, you do have to step up to the $699 model, but that also does give you 512 gigs of storage. But yeah, that's it. I think you get like 512 gigs of storage and a fingerprint sensor. It would have been nice if they gave you like 16 gigs of RAM. And here's the thing, for some of you guys, that fingerprint sensor might actually be a pretty big deal for daily use because typing your password every time might become a little bit annoying. I actually have Touch ID on my laptop, but I end up docking it to a keyboard. So I'm pretty much always typing in my passwords anyways. And even when I have just the laptop with me, sometimes the Touch ID is slower than actual password input. Those are like some compromises and quirks that I quickly wanted to talk about. So now let's get on to point number 4, and this one is important. The $699 model. When you see 512 gigs of storage plus Touch ID for $100 more, it sounds maybe like a no-brainer upgrade, right? But here's what I would say instead. A refurbished M4 MacBook Air with 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage goes for around $750 on Apple's own refurbished store. That's just $50 more than the upgraded Neo, and you're getting double the RAM, a faster M4 chip, Thunderbolt ports, MagSafe charging, keyboard that is backlit, you get the Force Touch trackpad, and the P3 color display and True Tone. Honestly, that spec jump is absolutely massive for $50 more. I would just 100% try to get that refurbished MacBook Air. But I will say, although you might really want that, refurbished stock is very limited and it does end up flying off the shelves quite often, so you have to keep checking Apple refurbished again and again, and you might get lucky. Also, you get a shorter return window, and the Air might also still have 8 gigs at that price point depending on the model, so you kind of have to like hunt around. Plus with the Neo, you do get a little bit more peace of mind. You get that full warranty, and you will get software support for this longer since it is brand new. Here's my take, okay? If you're comfortable buying refurbished, and Apple's refurbished products are basically like new, they're really good actually, the $699 Neo is honestly a tough sell for me. But the $599 base model, the one that I have here, at a full $500 less than the new MacBook Air, that's a completely different conversation. And that's where I think the Neo actually makes a lot of sense. Which brings me to point number 5. Who is this thing actually for? It's for that college student who's been using a 5-year-old Chromebook up to now and can't afford a $1,000 laptop. It's for the parent that's buying their kids their first real computer, which actually coincidentally is me right now. Currently, I'm actually picking up a couple of these for my kids. Your mom and dad who just need something for browsing the internet or checking their emails and FaceTiming and stuff, this laptop is perfect for them. The person who's always wanted to try a Mac but could never really justify that price tag, at $599, or keep in mind, $499 with the education discount, that barrier to entry towards getting a Mac just disappeared. This laptop isn't competing with the MacBook Air. It's competing with like HP and Dell and the Lenovo that someone was about to buy at Best Buy for like $550. And against those laptops, it's not even a contest, okay? Like this is it. This is what like 95% of people would be recommended to buy. Those are the 5 things that you absolutely need to know about before buying the MacBook Neo. Make sure you guys are subscribed, because later on this week I'm going to replace that almost $10,000 maxed out juggernaut with this value conscious $599 MacBook, and I'm actually going to put this through its paces. I'm also getting in every single color of this MacBook literally into the studio in like a day or two, so I'm gonna do a video on that. So yeah, you don't want to miss it. Let me know in the comment section down below, and also which color are you going for. Until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Check out one of these 2 videos here. Until then, take care, stay blessed, peace.